There are many different ways to back up your digital data personally, and doing it for your business is different. And I have spent the last year and thousands of dollars to learn how to back up the stuff my business depends on. And I'm going to share with you in this video how I've done that, because I sure wish I watched a video like this about a year ago. And most stuff I feel on YouTube is not information and helpful dense. They're full of sponsors. So I'm going to tell you first what type of data I'm backing up, and then I'm going to tell you the risks in which I'm mitigating. And hopefully this helps you if you have a small business, or if you're just morbidly curious, the things that go behind the scenes here at How Not To. So the type of data that I have is I have a YouTube channel, and I sell climbing gear and an e-commerce store. And so you have all the YouTube stuff, right? You have all the videos, and that gets really complicated because I'm answering how to back up a YouTube channel. That is its own animal. But that is not secure stuff, right? I've had to deal with that for the last 8 years, how to back up the content I'm filming. And having now a Shopify store and employees, there is stuff you cannot just put on spinning disks without some security on there. And so you have to mix complex information. It's data all over the place. And you have to make sure you're backing it up securely. So it's been complicated. I'm very excited to share with you how simple we were able to make our system. And I think simplicity is the right move for us, as long as it's secure. And I just think that I'm going to maintain the thing better if it is simple. The TLDR for backing up my YouTube channel is I only back up finished episodes, and I render the normal video you'd see on YouTube, the thing that I upload, but I also render a text-free and music-free version, because there's usually a lot of stuff I'm throwing on screen or subtle music behind the background, which are impossible to get rid of if you want to B-roll that later in future videos. And so I have 2 renders per edit, and then I take the projects in progress, the project file, and I put it on one hard drive, and good luck finding it. Did you know in 8 years I've never tried to even look for a past project? Now, keep in mind my workflow's simple. Simple is the key, I guess, here for this whole video. I film on my iPhone. I do have a permanent nice camera setup that does take more gigabytes, but these are pretty compact. These are simple. I airdrop it on my computer. I edit the thing, and there might be 2 or 3 of these on where I'm filming. It's relatively simple. Rarely do I have a mic. I try to make the environment pleasant for the ears rather than mic up, because that just adds complexity when I'm editing. I'm still, from a media perspective, a one-man show. So I back up the crap out of those finished episodes and my finished shorts, and now with this BTS channel, the finished BTS videos. But the actual raw screen recording that I'm doing now, I will be, I never delete anything, but I drop it on I drop it on a external hard drive, a spinning disk, $100 or $200 or $300 for a 20 terabyte external hard drive. Once it's full, don't delete it. You save it where you save your hard drives, put the years that it covers, buy another one, and never delete them. That is the really simple thing that I've been doing personally for years. And all my photos and stuff, sure. So what happens when you have poured, I don't even want to think about how much money I've poured into my website. And so you have all this code that's on top of a theme that you could rebuy the theme, and then implementing it is a whole nother thing. But you want to save the code. You want to save that email list that you've worked hard to grow over time, to have consensual emails to send people out a newsletter. You want to save your customer order data. You want to have access to that customer information, but it has to be secure. Your order history, so you know what to buy. If your whole thing collapsed, you need to know how much of those BD cams sold, so you know how to place your preseason orders. You need to have all your settings in Shopify, and that mega menu you spent 4 months making needs to be backed up, but Matrixify doesn't back that up. It doesn't back up actually a lot of the things you would need if you had to start from scratch. And my ERP is fragmented. It's the software you use to run your business is spread out all over, right? Shopify is part of that. Klaviyo is part of that. But we use G Sheets a lot because most people know how to use them. It's very little onboarding. It's cheap. It's simple. I love simple. Judge a G Sheet empire if you will, but that is what we have. And all of that needs to be backed up. And you can back up G Sheets by hitting download. You can download the whole thing and it'll download it as XSLX files or doc files. And you want to make sure it's backing that up instead of a shortcut to a G Sheet that might get deleted or something. And you want to have actually a hard copy of the things in your Google Drive, especially when you have your budget on there, your CRM, or how you manage your customers. That's mostly just for follow-ups and things for short-term needs for customers. All of our customers are in Shopify itself. And it's really important it's solid because if you're doing your budget on there, all your receipts, we're pretty good about saving receipts, is connected to the budget. And the budget is very important for taxes. And I don't want to have an audit in the future and have either lost my receipts or it becomes a mess. So it all needs to be backed up thoroughly. Now, let's talk about how often you back it up. Every quarter is what I used to do personally if I was on top of my game. But if I was to leave on a trip, I'd probably back up my latest projects in progress in case, because I had like 20 episodes I was working on simultaneously. Now I have one. When I'm done, I publish it and start another one. I love that, by the way. But because we have 50 to 100 orders a day now, and we are upgrading our systems all the time, and our playbook's getting worked on all the time, and our budget's getting touched all the time, and we're adding new passwords to our system all the time, we back up weekly. And in Google Drive, we actually name our folders Backup Weekly, Backup Never, and Admin Backup Weekly, because there is a folder with the stuff in it that not everybody in the company needs access to, but it also says in it, Backup Weekly. And by the way, a shared drive is the bomb. I have spent the last week working on Google Drive, and if you have it under My Drive, if you have anything under My Drive, or if you open an account in your business with your name or an employee's name at yourbusinessname.com, you're screwing yourself. It needs to be under a collaborative thing like shared drives, even Bitwarden. You have to have it under the company's Bitwarden account, not me. If you're putting stuff under me that belongs for the business, it is not as easy to manage permissions and transfer ownership to different roles. Same with Google Drive. When it's under My Drive, you have different owners of the different files. And if it's under shared drive, no one owns them. And that, I think, is very important to understand. If you build this thing solid, you can back it up more straightforward. Now, the hardware you use is also a consideration. We have a lot of MacBooks or Apple computers in our company because I like the workflow of them. I turned into a Mac guy after years of being a PC guy, and I want the workflow to be universal within our company, and AirDrop is awesome. And so it's really nice to be able to AirDrop stuff. And because I have a Mac, well, how do you format it? Well, because I have a history of being a PC guy, and people in my life have PC, and my mom has PC, and maybe the new guy we hire has a PC. It's, I think, important that you have a format for your backup system that is universal. exFAT for life. You don't want this OS journaled stuff. You don't want the PC only version. exFAT is how we back everything up. And that is how I format the drive, which leads me to the drive. This is 128 gigabytes, and this is a secure drive externally. And this was a big game changer in how we back our stuff up. And I'll go into the frequency in which we do that in a minute. The problem with trying to encrypt a spinning hard drive is that it is either for PC or Mac. It is not ever exFAT. And that was something we struggled with. Unless you know of something, great, but we could not figure it out. Once you unlock it here, the encryption is open, and when you plug it in your computer, it is exFAT. It goes in any computer. I love that. You want your backup to be able to be opened up by any computer, for better or for worse, right? This is pretty secure. Secure enough for what we're doing. And the key to getting it all to fit on here is to keeping everything simple and straightforward. You don't want to have complex video files inside of your Google Drive, all sloppy and messy in there. You really want to keep those files and folders separate for the media stuff. So you can put it on the 20 terabyte hard drive that is sitting next to me. And then you take everything I've been mentioning about business and you stick it on this guy. Now, it's in the cloud. Yes, Google Drive's in the cloud. Shopify's cloud. Klaviyo's cloud. Everything's basically in the cloud. There's basically nothing on our computers, and everything's two-factor authentication. So that's great, but I don't believe clouds are safe. Sure, safe from, go with me. I have lost more things in Google Drive because I thought they were somewhere else. I would delete them, or I would delete a bunch of stuff I was trying to delete, and somehow it grabbed this other file I needed, and it's gone. Now, I'm so obsessed about backing stuff up that I have PDF copies of my budgets that are also backed up as XLSX files, but also they're also on G Sheets. I don't have my 2020 G Sheet budget. Like, I don't know where it went. It just got swooshed at some point. I've lost more stuff because of me, not because of bad guys. I don't trust clouds. Clouds, especially if you sync your cloud to a computer. Now, if you goof up here, it goofs up, it gets it rid of there. Like, it syncs the problems you introduce into the system. And as we have a growing team, you want to keep the system simple. And so I do want version history of the entire pie. I know there's version history in GitHub. I know GitHub's safe. You can convince me all day long that GitHub is not going to lose my stuff. Whatever. Bad actors. Have you ever fired anybody? I have been married twice. I have been lucky in my life, but there are people who are vulnerable. Your stuff is vulnerable to some people at some points in your life that you don't want it to be at some point. You could just be an idiot at some point. I have done more damage to my own stuff than anybody has ever done combined to my stuff. And if your house burns down, you don't want all the information. Yes, it's in the cloud. But you don't want all the information, especially if the projects and progress folders and the finished episodes or the photos, things that are not able to be put in a cloud effectively, especially if you're syncing or especially if you're trying to work on them or collaborate on them. They're very big files. And I have 900 episodes. So that needs to be more multi-location than the stuff that's in Google Drive. Google Drive just needs to live physically somewhere. So fire, theft, being an idiot, bad actors, something else I can't think of at the moment. Your disk corrupts, right? That's what people have those dual hard drives for, where they mirror each other. RAD systems, I think they're called. That's great for some people. I don't personally need that. Not for what I'm doing. It's not that complicated. And then what do you do when your house burns down? Like, you lost both drives, right? Or somebody breaks in and grabs the whole box. You lost it all. So I like having version history, and I like having multi-location. And so the store has one of these. Technically it has two of these. But at the store, we have one of these. And then every month, my COO, or the person in charge of this, and I swap every month. And so we always have 30 days somewhere else as version history. And we just keep filling it up until it's full. And by the way, Google Drive only takes up about 4 or 5 gigabytes when you hit download. You do that every week. And then GitHub is very small. Klaviyo's small. Everything's relatively small, maybe 5 gigs total, as long as you're not including product images, which technically the product images on our website aren't even that big. I think 15 gigs. That's not that big. And this is 128 gigs. So the product images, we back up once a month on the plan I have right now. And we back up all that small, really important stuff, but small, once a week. And then at the end of the month, the person in charge of the store hands it off to me, swap. And then I have a backup. I have a hard copy that no bad actor is going to destroy. while everything is down at the store. I also have SlackSnap is going to be basically its own business. It's right now we're developing our first product. Is not totally viable yet, but we have the same thing where we swap once a month. When we have built out a media team, uh, the third business, I'd swap them out. And so we're taking this fairly simple concept of just having two hard drives, two of these, to back up our business, and we'll have a checklist. You don't want to do it off of here unless it's just one thing like Google Drive, but it rarely is. You'd have a checklist that it was done and that it's on there and the date in which you switched. And you just have this record of being able to do this. And then separately, independently, I would likely once a month, not every week, back up everything myself because it's not that hard. It wouldn't take me for all, let's say, 3 companies once they're established, an hour, not even once a month. And you match that up when you probably do your budget or something else that's routine. And then I would have backed things up independently in case something was missed or forgotten, but it doesn't stay here. And so it is going to be, I already do the out of state thing. I mean, you do have bigger problems if there's a nuclear bomb, but like, hey, forest fires happen. LA burnt down in January. And if you had stuff at your house and your mom's house down the street and that's it, and it's all your family photos or something, like you'd lose it. So many people lost stuff. So multi-state. And we're building out another team in another country. I don't know if I've shared any of that yet, so not relevant right now. But they are going to independently back everything up. They have access to, and that will be pretty cool to have in another country. But we also make sure that everything is secure on their end, right? So security is a wild thing to make sure. Like, sure, my stuff needs to be secure, but I need to make sure we have 10 people now. Make sure everybody's secure. And what's crazy is last year we did a fire drill just to test what happens if the website completely crashed. Ransomware, whatever. Just you don't have access to your website. And if you own a Shopify store, you would know that Shopify is anything but perfect. Apparently, they are better than every other option there was before Shopify existed, but they're not perfect. So what happens if your website goes down? Well, we did a fire drill, and they were able to rebuild most of it. The images, when you click through the variants on a product page, would not switch over because it was attached to the product ID, which is part of the URL, which changes when you make a new site with those images, instead of hashtag color, hashtag size, hashtag. So there was a glitch there. You could brute force that. There are 700 product pages and 4,000 SKUs. It would suck. However, I was like, all right, so how did it go? Were you guys able to do it? It was a 1-day test. They had 4 developers prepare for it, set time aside, and we spent money rebuilding our site from scratch on a dummy site. And they did good, minus the product image thing that would take a long time to fix. But you would get your business up and running within a few days, worst case scenario. Well, I found out that they weren't allowed to look at the live site, right? That would be cheating. Is they screen recorded a bunch of stuff on it before they started. And you're like, I mean, that's fine as long as we're doing that on here. And I think that was the biggest takeaway from that test is MatrixPy, which is an app that supposedly is good for exporting a lot of data, didn't export any of the settings. And the settings go deep, especially when you get into the shipping stuff. It would be devastating. None of us know what the settings are. We don't interact with it every day, but they need to be right. And then you have different products for different countries. And so we learned to screen record our settings, our mega menu, our homepage, and just 1 or 2 product pages, just for like, you can write down instructions all you want, but if you see this tool, you could write down how to make this tool, but god dang, a picture is worth so much. And you just screen record. It doesn't take that much space up. And so you learn these things when you stress test your backup system. So could you lose everything and rebuild it? I think that is an important thing to think about when you own a business. Is it secure? It's important not to have sensitive. Our customer data is names, emails, and what carabiner they bought. It's not like crazy sensitive, but it is customer data. And you're supposed to take that serious, and we do. And there's other information in a business that you need to keep secure. So this is a really simple setup, and I like it, and I wanted to share it with the world. I'll put a link in the description so you don't have to go hunt this thing. It's not for everybody. Might not be for you, but it'd be a good thought experiment. If you lost everything, do you truly understand your backup system? And if you try to get fancy and you try to automate it, or you try to outsource it, you try to get somebody else to do it, or you try to get lazy because you don't want to think about it because you're busy, how do you know it's backed up?